Good morning. Camping here in, well, at the mouth of Surprise Canyon in Death Valley in May. And it's been hot, let me tell you. My sister and a couple of friends of ours and I just hiked up Surprise Canyon to Panamint City Ghost Town. We backpacked up there the other day and spent the night, and it was pretty cool. I made a video all about that, but we just woke up the morning after the hike. It's not quite as hot as it's been. It was like 104 when we got here, and we were like, are we crazy? And yeah, the hike was pretty hot, especially carrying a backpack, but hey, we all survived. Well, barely. Everyone's sort of waking up, shaking out the kinks. I decided to hike up here at the trailhead to Panamint City in Surprise Canyon. There's this really cool old abandoned mine camp called Chris Wicht Camp. W-I-C-H-T. I guess it was the name of some prospector or miner who used to work here. And there's still a bunch of ruins of all his old machinery and stuff, which is really neat. But I've already made a video at Panamint City, and I think I included all this in that video. So if you're interested, you can watch that. What I'm doing right now is, well, you can't see it from this angle, and especially because of the sun, but there's a little memorial marker up on that little knob, kind of like a grave, but I don't think anyone is buried there. It's just a little memorial marker for somebody very interesting. Okay, if you ever went to Ballarat Ghost Town, which isn't too far from here, you just go down the canyon to the valley floor, hang a left, and well, you'll be there in about 5 minutes. Ballarat Ghost Town for many, many years only had one guy living there, George Novak. If you ever went out to Ballarat and met George Novak, well, you know, he was a character, is a character, I should say. Old-time prospector guy, Second Amendment enthusiast, moonshiner, just all-around super nice person, though. Very, kind of a sweet, gentle spirit. I really like him. He lived in Ballarat as the caretaker for years. He was the only person living in Ballarat. I mean, if you've ever been to Ballarat, think about it. It's this super desolate, isolated desert outpost, not even a town. There's no services there. Just George Novak living in this old mobile home. And there was kind of like a quote-unquote general store that really was more of a, I think, abandoned service station or something. I think way back in like the 60s, 70s, there was actually a diner at Ballarat. You could actually go get food, and it was kind of like a little grocery store. I remember reading about it in some of the Manson family books I read. Oops, sorry, it's kind of a steep hike. And I just did all that hiking the last couple of days. Anyway, back in the day, I guess there was more services in Ballarat. It was more of a town. Well, for the last, well, ever since I've been going there, the last 15 years, it's nothing. Just this poor old guy, George Novak, living there alone. Look, a cave. Oh, it's so nice and cool in the shade here. I bet it's even nice and cooler in this cave. And that's a big cave, too. You can actually live in there. Anyway, I've been to Ballarat many times to visit Rock and got to know him kind of, sort of, well, not well, but I got to know him. He showed me old pictures of him and his dad. And him and his dad were both prospectors, and I think they actually lived here, or worked this little claim here at Chris Wicht Camp for many years. I think they actually lived out here. My understanding is there was some kind of fire 20, 30 years ago that burned down where they lived, but they lived in this beautiful canyon, which, let's just take a minute. Let me turn the camera around and show you guys where we are. Okay, these are the Panamint Mountains on the edge of the western side of Death Valley, rugged desert mountain range. But there's a surprising number of creeks running down, springs coming down from the mountains and creeks running down. So this is one of the canyons that's got quite a bit of water in it. And it leads all the way down, down, down to the valley floor there. Matter of fact, the next canyon over to the north, I guess that would be, is Jail Canyon. I did a video there too. Well, they recently busted a huge illegal marijuana grow in Jail Canyon. In Death Valley, somebody was growing marijuana because of all the water. There's a big creek in Jail Canyon too. So my point is, these mountains are really tough and they don't play around. But if you know where to go, there's life-sustaining water. So I guess that's why, part of why Rock and his dad were living here, working this claim for all these years. I think his dad eventually passed away, and so Rock, one way or another, ended up in Ballarat. My understanding is they just kind of let him live there for free in exchange for keeping an eye on the place. And, well, he did become a legitimate tourist attraction on his own. Lots of folks would stop by Ballarat because it's marked on all the Death Valley maps. And they'd come in and chat with Rock. And, you know, over the years they did. They had, like, sodas for sale. I mean, that's about it. They didn't sell it. They never did have gas or food or anything. Oh, I better be careful. I'm getting to a kind of a sketchy place here. Hard to hike with a phone in one hand and coffee in the other. Let me tell you, and in flip-flops at that. Anyway, unfortunately, a few years ago, Rock moved away from Ballarat. I'm not sure why. Some say he was kind of evicted. Some say it was because of his sister that was his quote-unquote sister, not his blood sister, but woman that was staying there with him. I've heard a lot of different stories, but I think more or less what's going on is the family that owns Ballarat Ghost Town is trying to kind of clean it up, and they actually made Ballarat merchandise, stickers, hats, mugs. You can now buy sodas, Gatorade, Cliff Bars. You know, they're trying to make it into like a more of a legitimate desert outpost, I guess. And so I'm not really sure what happened with Rock Novak, but from what I hear, he moved to Trona, which is a town of a decent size, about 40 miles down that way. We're actually gearing up to go to Trona and see if we can find Rock Novak today. Because he, from what I've heard and seen on Facebook, he moved to Trona. And he's got a little, kind of a similar situation out there. He's got a sign on the road saying, come visit Rock Novak 2 miles this way or something like that. So we might go down there and pay him a visit once everybody gets all woken up. But all of that was just leading to why I hiked all the way up this hill. And here's why. At the top of this little hillock, there's this cool memorial to Rock Novak's dad, George Novak. Look at that. George Novak, 1920 to 2011. So he'd only died 10 years ago. Maybe that's when Rock moved to Ballarat. I guess that makes sense. And then it looks to me like Rock wrote in the cement, tread lightly. I'm watching you. That looks like Rock Novak's handwriting to me. If you've ever seen anything that Rock Novak wrote, well, he has a very distinctive script. He has like probably the most interesting handwriting I've ever seen. And the reason I say that is, well, the way I met Rock Novak is I was doing this photo shoot one time when I was working as a model, a nude model. We did this photo shoot at Death Valley. 2 models, 5 photographers, spent a few days shooting all over the place around Death Valley. And they asked me if I had any recommendations because I was the most familiar with Death Valley as to places we could shoot. And they go, hey, is there a ghost town we could go to? And I was like, well, yeah, we could go to Ballarat. And so we did. We all went out to Ballarat and did these nudies, me and the other model. And that's how we became friends with Rock. Of course, he's happy to have any visitors. And then like 2 naked women running around. Well, we became friends pretty quickly, but not in a dirty way. He's just a friendly guy, really a nice guy. So at that meeting, he goes, why you ought to come to our party. And he gave me this flyer for this event they used to have, this kind of like little festival they used to have every Easter weekend called Freedom Days. So it was Easter weekend, you could just camp out, hang out, shoot your guns, fly your flag, run around naked, celebrate your freedoms. Really cool concept. I went for a few years. Unfortunately, it didn't end well, and that's a long story I won't get into now. But what I'm getting at is Rock Novak had this handwritten flyer. Like, come one, come all to Freedom Days. Shoot your guns, go naked, whatever, celebrate your freedom, what I just said. But it was all written in his very distinctive handwriting. So I'd recognize his handwriting anywhere, and I can see he did carve into the cement there at the base of this memorial. And what I really like about this memorial is this cowboy hat. I'm assuming, I never met his dad, but I guess his dad probably wore a hat just like that. I don't remember from the photos I saw. He could have been wearing it. But I just think that's a cool little lonely desert memorial looking out over this lonely but beautiful, desolate and rugged but awesome canyon. You know, this is the place he loved in life. So this is the view that they gave him in death. Look at that. If you were looking up from that memorial, that's what you'd see. I hope it's not offensive to take a seat here next to old George's memorial and have a sip of coffee and enjoy the view with him. Maybe he liked to hike up here too when he was alive. You know, this was his spot. Maybe George Novak would come up here with his coffee sometimes and just look out at this amazing view. Let me show you guys what we're looking at here, me and George. Okay, we got our coffee. And we're sitting here just looking out at the, well, you can just barely see the Panamint Valley between the two walls of Surprise Canyon there. And if you went out there and turned left, that's where Ballarat is. Matter of fact, we're probably gonna go through Ballarat because we're gonna go out here to the left, probably take Ballarat Road out to the highway, and then the highway to Trona. Well, George, I sure did enjoy sitting here with you looking at the view in the morning sun. But now I guess I better get on up and, well, hopefully go visit your son. And if I get a chance to see him, I'll tell him you said hi. Oh man, gotta treat these old-time prospector monuments with respect. This is a part of our history and, well, by gum, we shouldn't forget it.